Hiya guys, BuildZoid here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a leaked PCB of the GTX 1180 or 2080. I'm going to call it the 1180 because that rolls off the tongue easier, right? Like 2080, 1180. I think we all know which one sounds better and which one's easier to say, so 1180 it is. And anyway, let's get into it. Now, obviously, we just have a PCB. Literally just the PCB. There's no componentry on here. So, you know, for once, we're getting just a PCB analysis. But there's still a lot of interesting things that we can tell from just a PCB. For one thing, this new futuristic NVIDIA card still relies on a PCIe slot. Anyway, but other than the PCIe slot, we get a messed up NVLink connector. And I'm saying messed up because if you look at the Titan one, you can see that the Titan one looks very different. It's longer. And the other way around, like the orientation is completely different. So that leads me to... Oops. Did I just... Uh-oh. There we go. Oh, no. Now it's too big. Give me a second. No. Useless computer. I mean, useless operator. Same problem. Grab that, put it here. There. So. You can clearly see that the notch is in a different place. Plus, there's two of these. And funnily enough, on the Titan V, those connectors aren't actually enabled. They're only enabled on the Tesla card, because the Tesla and the Titan V share PCBs. So that leads me... So, you know, I've seen some speculation on the internet already that this is going to be like a data center card or a Tesla or a Quadro because of the NVLink connector, but I don't think it is. Because A, the connector is the wrong way around. B, there's not two of them, right? If you wanted a quad GPU setup, you'd want two of them. At least that seems to be how it works on the Titan, on the JV100 PCB, right? This one gets two NVLink connectors. This one has one, and backwards. So I'm thinking maybe this is just a two-way SLI connector. And NVIDIA is just completely scrapped. Well, NVIDIA pretty much already completely scrapped three-way and four-way support. So now it's just like, yeah, we'll still do some bare minimum support for two-way. But, and this new connector is how we're going to do it. Because it's like, you know, they already did the high bandwidth SLI bridge for the, what was it, the 1080 and the 1080 Ti. So this is like the high bandwidth two-way SLI bridge version 2.0. More bandwidth. So that's what I'm assuming is going on with that. And it looks like it's based off the NVLink connector. But at the same time, you know, that's definitely not an actual NVLink. At least not like that we've seen before. So that's worth noting. The next thing we can see is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 memory chip spots, which tells us that this is going to have a 256-bit memory bus, which should be no surprise to anyone. Because there's no way NVIDIA is releasing a 1180 that's faster than a 1080 Ti, or at least not much faster than a 1080 Ti. If we look at the history, the 980 was barely faster than a 780 Ti at launch. The 1080 was barely faster than a 980 Ti at launch. I do realize that over time, the 980 and the 1080 have pulled away from their predecessors, you know, as... basically, the newer cards support newer technologies, so they're getting faster for more modern titles. But when they launched, they were barely faster. And this, I think, would be exactly the same story. The 1180 will launch, and it'll be like 5 to maybe 15% faster than a 1080 Ti. It might be, like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was slower than the Titan V. That would not surprise me whatsoever. So, yeah, it's 256-bit memory bus, and it's going to be running on GDDR6, because otherwise this would be really slow. And, yeah, so it's going to run on GDDR6, which means we're going to need a VMEM, and we're going to need a VPP. But I don't think we're going to be able to ID that, because without any components on board, this is already a mess to ID stuff, and this is a minor rail. This one's hard to hunt down, even when you have a fully populated card photo, because I don't normally have every, like, for GPUs, I generally don't get them in person, so it's not like I can just manually check things with a multimeter. And it's just like, well, this looks like it's roughly the right power output capability for that rail. But with VPP, it's like it could be pretty much anything because it's super low current. Moving on, we get a 6-pin and an 8-pin power connector. So I'll say that we should expect a TDP between 200 and let's say 75 watts. Probably closer to 250. Though NVIDIA has made cards that had a 300 watt power limit, in the past. It was called the GTX 480. It was also a joke, but that didn't stop the GTX from selling great. So I wouldn't be surprised if NVIDIA was like, screw it, make it 300 watts anyway, and it'll still sell. It's faster than a 1080 Ti. Why wouldn't you buy it? And if they priced it low enough, fair point. It's like, screw the power consumption. Anyway, so, but we're definitely looking at a higher power consumption for this card than, say, a 1080. Otherwise, it wouldn't have the extra power connector. Now, let's get on to the VCore VRM, because this thing is huge and rather special. And so we can clearly see that it looks like it's going to be maybe a 10 phase, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inductor mounting points. But I don't like that. Obviously means we're going to need to either run a 5x2 scheme, or it's just going to be a massive 5 phase, which I'm leaning towards this being a massive 5 phase, because the Titan V is just a massive 8. I know it looks like a 16, but it's a ginormous 8 phase. Also, if you're interested in watching the PCB breakdown for GTX Titan V, it's up on the Gamers Nexus channel. So that's that out of the way. But I think this is going to be just a straight 5 phase, because they didn't bother with doubling on the Titan V. I don't know why they'd bother with doubling on this. But and the other reason is, well, there's not anything that indicates doublers. Like, doublers aren't exactly massively complex chips. And so looking at the back of the card, you'd expect the doublers to be somewhere in this area. To like in this direction from this chip right here, because I assume that's going to be the voltage controller, because that's the biggest chip right on the back of the card. And actually, wait, let's count, because this looks like current sense circuitry right here. It could also be vid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that might just be parallel vid. Is there anything else that could be it? Yeah, that's probably just parallel vid. I mean, there's test points in there. Bam, bam, bam. Actually, no, that's a bit excessive for parallel. Who knows? It could be parallel vid. It could be current sensing. Oh, wait a minute. So this area of the PCB is just, like, really confusing. It might not be a single 10 phase. I might be wrong. That can't be happening. Oh, damn, I'm blind. I am really blind. See that right there? Well, that darker patch right there. You don't really have that on like the other 8 phases, or the phase above, above it. Or is it? No, because you have that split down the... Okay, so that actually might be just an 8 plus... Ah, damn it. Okay, no, that does make sense. That makes way more sense. Okay, screw it. You're not a 10 phase. You're a 1, 2. Bam. Okay, that actually solves a lot of mysteries. So... Okay, so this would probably... Okay, that... Oh, man. That makes things a lot simpler. Get a massive 8-phase. Which will be true because we have this right here, which now I'm gonna say that definitely is current sense, because now it makes sense. And does this chip actually, let's just check one thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Really? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Just 10. Okay, so that's a 50. I guess they could make it work. Yeah. I mean, wait, you'd need 8 PWM signals, then you'd need 16 current sense. That would still leave you with, like, a lot of, like, 26 pins for other stuff. Yeah, you'd be fine. Just normally, most other 8-phase, like, for example, another 8-phase controller I can think of off the top of my head is the CHL8228G. And that thing is 56 pins. So that one has 6 pins more than that. Yeah, so, yeah, makes sense. Just checking the pin count that, it's not solo, that it's literally impossible to have an 8-phase off of it. There's also this thing up here, which I'm gonna... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is still a 10 pin, so that's still the same thing. But yeah, they can run an 8-phase off of that. But I do... Man, why do they have so many chips on here? It's on the back. Like, let's check on the back of the board. I guess the current sensing could be shared between them because that other chip seems to be right around that area. Though generally, well... Yeah, I could do that. They could. So, yeah, that's fun. So you get an 8+2 phase, not a 10. Okay, so that actually simplifies some things on the back of the board. So that means this right here is probably memory juice. So that's going to be vCore. It's going to be memory controller. For doubling scheme, well, I don't think either of these is doublers because we have this mysterious buck converter sitting right here, or at least what looks like a buck converter. Well, could definitely be run as a buck converter if you wanted it to, because you get an inductor, right, and then you get a bunch of MOSFETs behind it, and that just so happens to coincide with like the location of both of like these two. So yeah, I'm not, and the thing is that this was also on the GTX on the Titan V, and I have no idea why. I have no idea what that circuit does, and basically, depending on how the 1180 is priced, I would be actually interested. Like, I'd probably want to pick it up just to figure out what on earth that circuit is for. Like, I really want to know what that does. Because if you look at it, right, it looks like a buck converter, and it outputs into the freaking high voltage, like this plane right here, which is the, that's the power plane for the power, like for the VRM, like the input power plane. So this would normally, like if this wasn't on the card, normally you'd see something that just looks like this plane, bam, like you just have that. And instead, there's this buck converter in between, well, going into that power plane. So I assume what's going on is goes into there, comes out. And it's just like, well, why would you do that? Well, maybe they don't want to be running off of 12 volts. They might want to run off of 9 volts, which is just like, I mean, it gives you, it could give you an efficiency boost when you do that. Like, that can definitely give you an efficiency boost, but very odd. Like, I've never seen that on another card. So I do really, really want to know what on earth they are using it for. It might be just for idle. You know, it might be just to boost idle efficiency, or it might be for, I don't know, might be because their output voltage is so low that they need, they need to step down the 12 volts to keep within like a reasonable duty cycle for the main VRM. Yeah, I have no idea what that is for. That is a very interesting circuit right there. I definitely want to know what those do. But that basically eliminates the ability of these to be... Oh, wait, no, we already established that this is not a 10 phase, so... Why am I still going on about the doublers? Damn, I'm dumb. Well, slow. Anyway, so yeah, you do get something like a real 8+2 phase, or at least looks like it's going to be a real 8+2 phase, whatever the hell these are supposed to be. And the power stages are going to be kind of interesting because that is one big rectangular power stage right there. You know, there's not that many big rectangular power stages. You know, like this is a big rectangular power stage. It even has like the same footprint. Right? Like that's basically the same footprint. And this big power stage right here, that is a 70 amp part. So there's a good chance that is a 70 amp power stage, or is going to be a 70 amp power stage, which would mean with an 8 phase, you're going to be looking at like 560 amps output current capability, maximum theoretical. Which is just like, that's great. That's awesome. I like to see that. So, yeah, that's exciting. If they actually go through with that, that would be awesome. And yeah, so that's the VCore VRM right there. And then since this, I've, now realized that's probably memory power, not VCore, because I've been working like... I did a few other takes where I was working under the assumption that that was still VCore, but no. It's definitely not VCore. That doesn't make any sense. There's 8 sets of current current monitoring circuitry on the back, so, that kind of thing. Anyway, so that kind of covers that stuff. If you're wondering where the shunt resistors are going to be, they're going to be right here, here, and here. Then you have your input filtering chokes right behind them. And then on this side, we get these 2 little buck converters right here and here. And one of them is probably going to be VPEX / PLL. So that sits at 1 volts, very low power. One of them is going to be VPP, which is going to be for the GDDR6. That needs that. Again, very low power. Is going to sit at 1.8 volts though. And what else is there? All right. That 1.8 volts might also feed the BIOS chip, which is located right over here. And these both look like... So these, initially I was thinking, okay, those are going to be power stages, but nah, those are probably fully integrated buck converters. So those are like power, like they're literally controller, driver, MOSFETs all in one package. So very convenient part right there. And that would make sense for these lower power rails to do that. That would be a very reasonable way of dealing with those. Actually, that's how most cards deal with anything. Like, if it's too power hungry to use an LDO, but not big enough to warrant a proper phase, this is what you do. So that's why I'm thinking that's what they're doing there. Though that does leave the question of the hell are these 2 for? Like, why are there these 2 random inductor mounts in the middle of the freaking car, like right here? There's not even anything that looks like a particularly powerful component anywhere near either of them. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what the hell those are for. But yeah, this is definitely an interesting card. I really hope they don't price it anything insane, because I'd love to pick it up just so I can like voltage, like figure out what the hell these are for. And the other thing is, it would be like, it's going to be like, I'd like to have, some seriously high scores on a single GPU for like Firestrike and Vantage and those kinds of benchmarks. So yeah, it would be nice to not, be stuck with slightly slower than the best to a lot slower than the best with Vega, because the Fury X wasn't that much worse than a 980 Ti, but with the Vega against a 1080 Ti, it's just like no chance. You know, it's like it's not going anywhere, especially because of the software situation on freaking Vega cards. It's like I'd argue after modifying the crap out of an Nvidia card, they're less obnoxious than AMD cards now, because AMD's just gone above and beyond to make things a pain. But yeah, so I'd definitely be like, this is an interesting PCB. It looks like it should be pretty damn good on launch. Like, it looks like it'll be really solid. Well, yeah, this is all speculation because it's not released. There's not even any freaking components on there, but it looks good, you know. And I do think this might actually be the real the real reference 1180 card, because, you know, like the 8-phase V-Core VRM, we already had that on a 1080 and a 1080 Ti. The 2-phase memory power, again, 1080 and 1080 Ti. These minor rails, they're everywhere, literally everywhere. So those aren't concerning. The oddball NVLink connector, I don't know. They might decide that that's not even going to be enabled, because that's the situation on the Titan V. Like, those two connectors don't work, right? So who knows? It might be there. Like, there might be a Tesla version of the card, and on that it's enabled. On the non-Tesla version, it's not enabled. They could totally do that. There wouldn't be a problem with doing something like that. So, yeah, very interesting, very interesting. And it looks like, you know, if you pick this card up, it's just like, well, if I pick it up, I'm obviously throwing it on cold, and I'm volt modding the crap out of it immediately. It would be really nice if we for once had a it would be really nice if, like, a modern Nvidia card scaled from voltage again. Because the last time it made any sense to shove V-Core into a Nvidia GPU on ambient cooling was with Kepler. With everything after Kepler, you could, like, ram insane amounts of voltage, and unless the GPU was below 0, it wasn't going anywhere. Like, you would, like, on Pascal, you might see a gain of, like, 50 megahertz. You know, like at 2 gigahertz, 50 megahertz is literally nothing. Like, it's like 2.5% of like clock gain for like insane voltage jumps. So, and Pascal was actually kind of worse. Pascal, you could take the card from like 1.22 to 1. Well, stock was like 1.2 to 1.25 volts. You could shove like 1.4 volts into a Pascal card, and unless it was below 0, it wasn't going anywhere. So, yeah. You know, I'd be excited, like, if the 12 nanometer TSMC started to scale from voltage, but apparently the Titan V doesn't. But then again, the Titan V is huge, and, you know, maybe the smaller die might run better, but who knows? We'll see. It's exciting. Though, also judging based on the PCB, we're not looking at some, you know, massively faster card than a 1080 Ti. And I really hope nobody was expecting something massively faster than a 1080 Ti, because that's really not NVIDIA's style for the last couple of years, to, like, launch an 80 series card that's, like, way beyond a 1080 Ti. So, yeah. You know, that's it. That's my thoughts on this. Very, like, interesting card, and I, like, at this point I just can't wait to see the finished thing, because just looking at this and thinking of the possibilities is it's kind of maddening. Anyway, so that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, questions, suggestions down in the comments section below. If you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I have a Patreon, PayPal. There's also t-shirts you can buy. You can find a link to all of that down in the description below. Those all help out massively. And yeah, that's it for the video. You all know I suck at outros, so I'm just going to press the stop button, and I'm probably going to get cut mid-sentence.